Hi there, this is Rob at Reason101.net, and I am here with another Reason tutorial. This time I am going to discuss a few different things that you can do with some of the Kong hit types and how the hit types work a little bit more. I've already discussed the Nano Sampler and the Nurse Rex, so moving on to the physical bass drum, you'll notice that there's no actual different hit types for it, so you don't have any variation, so you can't really do much with that. Physical snare drum, however, different story. You've got four different positions, and they go progressively from the center outward, if you want to look at it that way, or from the edge inward to the center. So center, the first position is if you were hitting the drum right where you see it here, in the center. Position two would be if you're hitting the drum a little bit more outward towards the edge. Uh, position two, I would kind of call it somewhere from a little bit further from the center, but not quite close to the edge. Position three, however, would be closer to the edge, but not quite all the way to the edge. And then position four would be the actual edge. So just listening to this drum as it is, by its default, it's going to be the center position. So you're going to hear it in the center. Change to position two. It goes slightly outward. Position three, closer to the edge. Position four, definitely on the edge. And also, these hit types are going to depend a little bit on the different parameters that you set inside the actual snare drum. So what you can do to have some variation on this, if you wanted to, the easy thing to do would be to have this pad be on the center, and then have pad 2 also linked to the same snare drum. Okay, you do that by assigning both drums to the same snare drum, and then having the second drum, which is outlined in blue here, work on the edge. So then what happens is drum 1 will be playing the center, and then pad 2 will be playing the edge. So you can do a pattern where it goes 3 drum strikes and then 1 edge. You can just vary it up a little bit by hitting that edge. So that's one of the things that you can do with this type of drum setup. Now let's go back and let's initialize the patch once again. And now we'll move on from the snare drum into the physical tom drum, which also doesn't have any hit types. So we'll keep going. Go to the synth bass drum, which also doesn't have any different hit types. Now the synth hi-hat, and I believe the snare doesn't have any variations, and the synth tom, there's no variations as well. So the last one really to discuss is the hi-hat. And the hi-hat is an interesting one because you've got a situation where in position 1 it's closed, position 2 it's semi-closed, position 3 it's semi-open, and position 4 fully open. So one of the things you can do is you can take these 4 pads and you can assign them all to drum number 1. So they're all assigned to the same hi-hat, but with drum number 1, you could have the open position. Drum number 2, you could have it the semi-open position. Drum number 3, you could have it the semi-closed position. Drum number 4, you can have the fully closed position. Actually, what I'll do is I'll switch this up. I'll have this be the closed, and this will be the semi-closed. The other thing that I would do in this situation, well, I'll get to that in a second, but this is one way you can do it so that when you're playing them, you've got a variation between the open and the semi-open, and you've got a variation between the fully closed and the semi-closed. Okay. Now the other thing that is interesting is if you play this, okay, the other thing you can do, just if you remember on, let's change this. Let's initialize it first, and then I'll kind of walk through this. So if we initialize the patch, we go back into the hi-hat setting. We'll go to synth hi-hat. What I will do is up the decay, play the open. So you've got a long decay, okay, and I'm just going to do this for emphasis. Now, if I assign the first two pads to the same hi-hat, and the second pad is going to be closed, but the first one is going to be open, what's going to happen is you're going to play this sound, and what you'll notice is it's not exclusive. When you play this sound, this one plays over top of it. If you want to have them exclusive, what you're going to need to do is go in here and assign a mute group to both of them. And what this does is, as soon as this one plays, if you play both pads on top of each other, they're going to mute each other out. So just take a look and see how that sounds. As soon as I press on pad 2, it cancels out that open sound and it cancels out the decay. And that's how you create mute groups, and that's how you use mute groups. And this would be this would have the same effect as if you were using the 8 and 9 channel on the redrum exclusively. However, I'm not sure if this is doing it exactly correct because I think it's going to mute it no matter what. So let's just try one other little thing here. I'm going to put the synth hi-hat here. Now I'm going to copy the drum patch, and in here I'm going to paste the drum patch, and on the first drum I'll have a high decay and it's going to be open. On the second drum it's going to be closed, but I'm still going to have that high decay. Okay, so now you've got truly, there you go. Okay, that's what it is. If you're using the same hi-hat on two different pads, they are going to automatically be mutually exclusive and you don't have to use those mute groups. However, if you're using two different hi-hats, you hear how even hitting the closed one still leaves that first open sound going. Not very realistic. So in this situation, what you would have to do is you would have to use a mute group on both of these. Or sorry, you'd have to use a mute group, not the alt group, like that. Then go back in, and then it cancels out each other. So this has the same effect as using that exclusive 8 and 9 channel on the redrum, which is usually reserved for the open and closed hi-hat. In this case, in Kong, it's much easier. You just create a mute group for both your drums, for your open sound and then your closed sound, and the closed sound will mute out the open sound, just as you would expect it and just as it happens in the real world with a real hi-hat. So I hope you find this interesting. I hope this is useful for you. And once again, come back and visit me at reason101.net. And my name's Rob. Have fun, and thanks for watching.